All right, here we are for a laser coaching session with Peta. Hello, Peta. How are you?
Hi, Jennifer. I'm fine. How are you?
Good. We chatted for a few minutes before we started recording because this is the first time I've met Peta. And from what I found online, I know I found you on Instagram. I loved everything you were doing. And I know that you're in the midst of kind of shifting your work right now. So, can you just briefly tell us what you do or what you want to do? And then we'll get into your big question today, which is how can you find clients? Or better yet, how can clients find you? I like that one
Absolutely.
too. I like it when
Yes.
people find us. So tell us
Absolutely. I
about you,
love that.
Peter. Tell us what your niche is and where you want to focus.
Absolutely. So I am an etiquette coach as well. And so my niche has been teaching etiquette to children. And through that journey, I've found that there's a huge gap in in what the parents' needs are. And so I've worked with a lot of parents from that perspective and really drilling down. And that created another passion, which is to really marry the two. So help parents through parent coaching with all the tools, giving them the tools, helping them to really navigate some of the the details of parenting, and then also helping the children just be able to rise to that occasion as far as decorum and manners and posture and just really self-esteem. So it's building the child's self-esteem and then also working with the parents to continue to maintain that. So the ultimate goal is just making that shift in the way that parent was approaching teaching that child self-esteem and manners.
Yes. I better sit up straight while you're talking.
I saw you do that. That was so funny.
Please tell
I am
me.
the most laid back etiquette coach ever.
But that's wonderful. I mean, because when you think of like manners and etiquette, you think, okay, I've got to be sitting straight up and very polite. What we should be polite anyway. But okay, so I love your niche. I love that you have focused on etiquette and that you want to bring that into supporting parents and focus on, building the self-esteem with their kids and sharing the etiquette still. So you still want to keep that in your conscious parenting and etiquette kind of training with the parents, but focus more on training for them and not so much directly with the kids. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. I want to tell you just a funny side note, maybe not so funny, but I don't know how many times I've said to my kids, I'm going to send you to manners school if you don't like stop. I've got 15-year-old twin boys, so like burping at the table and like,
Yes.
slouching. And I don't know where they get that. I bet. But it's so cool to know like there's a manners school for them and it starts with the parents. So I know that throughout my kids growing up that I really would have loved to have kind of focused on that a bit more, and now I'm seeing as they're young adults and teens like, yeah, I wish I focused on that a bit more, but they tell me when they're in public that they don't burp and fart at the table, so hopefully that's
That's
true.
it's funny that you say that because that's also what I teach is that the rules of engagement and etiquette, it's not that you become perfect because my on the coaching side of it for parenting, I'm totally against trying to teach someone to be perfect, but it really is being able to use those tools when you need them. So they may fart and burp at the table even after manner school at home, but they won't do it when they're out. And that's the goal there.
Okay, that's
That's
awesome.
funny. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to your concern. It was finding clients or having clients find you. So, one of the things I love to talk about in my coaching, and I think is one of the most important things, is your messaging. And it starts with having a niche, and then really just working at that niche, working at your messaging, and standing out as an expert in your field. So I feel like you are already ahead of the game because you've been talking about etiquette for so long. You've been out there, you've got books even for kids, right? Which is
Yes.
is wonderful. So let's talk about the messaging then. What do you call yourself, Peta? Do you call yourself an etiquette coach, manners? What is?
I
What is,
just revamped that. I just revamped that, and it's a conscious parenting and etiquette and children's etiquette coach. It's
and children's etiquette?
coach, yes.
Okay.
It's kind of long, but it really embodies everything that I do. If I could pare it down, I would, but yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start there. So, um, sometimes with our niche and with our title, we want to be able to be recognizable. And sometimes it means like, what are people typing in to find us? And if we can't use it in our title, what I'd love for you to do is use it in your kind of clarity statement or messaging about what you do. So, um, let's start with, first of all, what is it, or do you know what parents type in to find you? And the other part of that, if you don't know, what would you type in to find someone to help with manners or etiquette?
They type in etiquette, they type in manners, they type in some of them you may pop up for behavior. They definitely type in. So they used to type in. I used to come up when they do like tea parties because I used to do tea parties in my brick and mortar for the little girls. Um, Mainly etiquette and manners is what they type in, and they would get someone like me.
Okay. So in order to shorten that, another question, and I'm not saying you have to, I just want you to think about these things. But when you said conscious parenting and children's etiquette coach, it is kind of long. And I think I would get hung up on the conscious parenting. Does everyone know what like I'm in this world, I know what it is. But if you're trying to find new clients and share a new message with them, do they know what conscious parenting is already?
I Not the vast majority, but I think the people that are specifically looking for it would. Because there's a huge shift now where I think that a lot of folks from my era are starting to realize that the way we were parented, um, it was very strict and very stern, and they're wanting to become more emotionally engaged with their kids, and so they are seeking conscious parenting tools. So it's a
Okay.
whole world. So
Okay. It definitely is. And I know, and because I'm in this world, I hear it a lot. But I would just question, if you're trying to reach parents quickly, I'm not sure if you've ever read The Story Brand by Donald Miller, but he says if you don't connect with someone in the first couple seconds, if you've already lost them at conscious parenting, they're not going to continue on to get to the etiquette part. So my question to you is just explore maybe, can you shorten it by just calling yourself an etiquette coach? And then through your clarity statement, really talk about the conscious parenting and bring that in. Because if etiquette is what people are typing in to find you, I would have that the first thing they see. So I
even
would,
though I'm trying to make the shift, because I
well,
don't want that to continue to be.
yeah, and that's right. So if you want to focus more on the parent coach part of it, then you could do that as well. So you could also, I mean, there's so many ways to do this, and what you have to really sometimes do, which I know it would be beautiful to just have like, this is the answer, go with it, it's going to work. Sometimes it's trial and error. So conscious etiquette coach, parent coach for conscious etiquette. I don't know, like no, that doesn't work. um,
Work on
Teaching
it.
etiquette through conscious parenting. I don't know what it is, but I think like it'll just take a little bit of time to just kind of sort through that. If you want to shorten it, you said you'd like to shorten it. So if you would like to shorten it, just test out a few. Even when you are in um, Facebook groups or Instagram, and test out some wording and see where the interaction is coming from when you're talking about etiquette or when you're talking about conscious parenting. And the best way to find out if these things work is sometimes just to ask your audience if you have an audience.
Okay.
So you had a brick and mortar location, and you had tea parties, and
Yeah.
that sounds so awesome. Did you by any chance have an email list of clients? Do you have an email list at this point?
So that was a huge mistake that I made in my business. I gathered all these emails, never really put them in a system. So right now I'm in the process of getting my VA to convert them into my email list. So I am creating an email list from what I have so far, and then it's all on paper. That's the problem. It's
Yeah.
all on paper. And
Okay.
or yeah, and they're data mining to get them all out of my emails as well, because I've communicated so much with so many of the parents through email over the years, but they were never on an email list.
Okay. And that's all right. I mean, that happens to a lot of us, right? We let the email list go. We don't connect with them. I would just make sure to start off with the, hey, I'm back and this is what I'm doing. And then, ask them what they need. Chances are their kids are a little bit older. So maybe that the people on your email list are not your ideal clients at this point. And if they're not, give them the option, like opt out if this isn't for you. If it is, stick around and let's connect, right?
Right.
So that kind of leads me to then your ideal client. So would you say your ideal client has younger kids, older kids? Is there any way you can kind of narrow down who your ideal client is?
So my ideal client would be that would be able to take part of the entire experience would be from ages maybe 5, 6 to 14. And that's a weird age, but because of the etiquette component, and I have a software as well as the books, and they will get to use those tools. So the 14-year-old would be too old for the book, but the younger ones would be able to use the book, and their parents could read with them, and it's just an entire experience, and that's what my hope is for each of my clients.
All right. So if we then were to name your ideal client, would it be a parent of a school age child? Does that kind
Yes,
of sum it up? So
yes,
you said 14, but if the books aren't really applicable to the teens, then maybe just even focusing on school age. And at some point, if you have something different for teens, I would separate that out.
mhm,
Part of having clients find us and us finding them is that we really narrow down who our target audience is, who our ideal client is. So if your target audience is a parent of a school age child, now we want to talk about what are the reasons why they're coming to you. Because this is, if you know your ideal client, I'm not sure if you have someone in mind as your ideal client, but I love like naming that person and finding out everything you can about that person, like what they read and who they are listening to and where they shop and do they like coffee or tea and what's their, how many kids do they have at home? And most importantly, what are they struggling with? Like, what are those challenges that they're having? And then even more importantly, what are those internal challenges? So we know perhaps like behavior or, my kids farting and burping at the table is my external challenge.
right.
But internally, I feel like I've failed. I feel like a bad mom. Like, what are they telling themselves internally that they're not coming out and saying, when you burp at the table, I just combined burp and fart. When you burp at the table, it makes me feel like I have failed. So can you think about then what those like external challenges are? So what it is that they're typing in, and then the internal, how they're feeling.
That's
And
huge.
yeah, because that you can use in your messaging, do you feel like you've failed because your kids won't stop burping at the table? Or uh, I know you get a lot more in depth than that, but just thinking about the biggest challenge here right now.
Right.
So can you think about then the external challenge? So what someone's typing in, if they're typing in manners or etiquette, what's What's the issue that's going on? What are the challenges?
So it's children misbehaving in the restaurant, also children, their communication skills. So children not being able to communicate well to their parents and also to their, their elders. And let me think through this one. Some parents just want it because it is what they've done, funny enough, as a child. That's the etiquette side. There's this huge tradition side to it. And then there are also parents that just feel like their children just have no manners. So they feel embarrassed to take their children out. I get that a lot. Parents say that to me quite a lot. I'm embarrassed to take her out. There's always a mess at the table, or they don't use their napkin. They don't know how to use the utensils, and but that's a huge one. That them feeling embarrassed to take their children anywhere. I think those are the main ones for now, but they don't type in my child embarrasses me. They kind of just type in more along the lines of my child has no manners. And then they, the parent, how do they feel? They feel helpless. Like a lot of the parents actually feel as though they could teach a child manners, but it's not being received from them. So, and that's actually why I kind of developed this love for the conscious parenting movement, or that concept of some compassion. Like at times, if you just slow down, listen for a minute, give them some affection, show them some love, you really bridge that communication gap, then the child will actually listen to you. They would want to learn from you. No one wants to listen to a know-it-all. And when you come across as a know-it-all parent, the children shut down too. So,
Yeah.
just those dialogues, that I had with the parents is really what made me open up into this world. But that's one of the major factors, is that they feel like they know the rules, like you don't burp in front of the table, but they don't know how to convey that to their children. Like, so.
Right. And then do the kids even listen?
Yeah, that's
No.
it right there. Yeah, that's it right there.
I've said it so many times, just stop burping, stop farting at the table. It's so gross. But okay. So we've got a lot here to work with. And you said you're in the midst of just launching your website. So here's what I love to see on a website. I love to see you addressing those big concerns as soon as someone comes to your website. So the title is one thing, but then the clarity statement, it's kind of like the hero section of your website. So the very first thing before you start scrolling, it's the words and the image that are so important when you go to your website. So, something like, my kids won't behave. I help parents of school age kids, or I help parents of school age kids who are struggling with manners. Haven't quite got it. I got to move those words around a little bit, but
Okay.
the first message is who you serve. So parents of school age kids, how you help them, or like the big challenge that you solve. So are you embarrassed to take your kids to a restaurant? Do they need manners school? Something like that, so that it's so completely obvious what you do. You want to work with the parents, so I think it's important that you put I help parents and then of school age kids, so that they know, hey, if I've got a 2-year-old, this is not going to work, and if I've got an adult child, this is not going to work, or
Right.
a teen. So you're going to focus on the area that you already have the books written for, that focus on the area that you're already working in, and you're going to really tackle their biggest challenge, so that when they get to your website, and when I say website, I also mean your statement on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your YouTube, wherever you are, this is the first thing they should see. So is anything feeling good to you there about that kind of message and how that's so important?
Yes, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's definitely allowing them to resonate with your message immediately, and they don't have to go digging for, is this, am I at the right place? It kind of tells them you're at the right place immediately, so they feel, they kind of, they even get at ease. They start looking for exactly what they want even further, and they're not looking to then close out and scroll somewhere else because they've, oh, I found what I'm looking for.
That's so awesome. Now, the other part to that is once you nail that messaging, and I do have a YouTube video I'm going to send you after. It's on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's about niching, but it just kind of helps you work through those steps as well, like who your audience is, who your ideal client is, and then your niche is like the big problem you solve for that ideal client, right? Um, so the
Right.
other part to it is the images that they see when they come to your website. And I love when the images are the transformation. So maybe a picture of a happy family sitting at a restaurant, napkin on their lap, using the right utensils. I don't know, an image like that to just show this is what you would get when you come work with me.
Gotcha.
And that goes for anyone listening in any area. If your niche is babies, you want to show a happy baby. If it's a happy sleeping baby, you're probably a sleep coach. Like, so what you want to show is the transformation
Right.
there. You want to show what happens. And then they can picture themselves like, oh, I want that. Yes, that'd be so nice if my kids even just sat at the
I know.
I remember with my two oldest, there was only one restaurant we could go to, like that wasn't fast food, where the food came so fast that it didn't give the kids time to crawl under the table. And it was
Yeah.
like we only had one restaurant that we could go to. So
Oh my gosh, that is
I
so
loved it. It
funny.
was Thai food and we all love Thai food. So it was
Oh, I like Thai
perfect.
food also. I love Thai food as well. That's awesome. That
All
is
right.
funny. How many children do you have?
I have four kids.
Four. So you said
22,
two older and
20,
two.
and 15-year-old twin boys. Yeah. Mhm,
Oh, that's awesome.
mhm. Lots of
And
fun.
how did you start out and how did you fall in love with, well, now you're coaching the parent coach.
Yeah.
So,
I started out just over 20 years ago while my second was born, but it really started when my first was born. And I had a really tough time with everything to do with parenting. Thought I was smart, well educated, knew everything. My sisters all had kids. Like I thought this is going to be no problem. And everything was so hard. And I really knew nothing about parenting. So I spent, the next 18 years writing resource parenting books for all new parents that went out through all the hospitals in our area. I'm in Canada. So,
that's
kind of
amazing.
west of Toronto. So anyone having a baby would get my book of like, here's what you need to know. Here's who you can call for help and support. And that was way back before Google. So writing on the wall as books weren't going to be, the thing to be sending to new parents. So it kind of transitioned online, which I still do like the book part, but in a magazine style now online.
Gotcha.
And then, honestly, it was the kids getting to an age where there was lots of things that were going on in our family and I needed support. And I looked to parent coaches for support. And working with these parent coaches transformed my relationship with my kids, with our family, our home life, with just everything to do with parenting just became so much easier working with a parent coach. And I realized my biggest passion was talking about business and
Mm,
parenting. And so that's what brought me to using my business skills, because I had a great business writing these books for 18 years. That brought me to using all those skills and a lot more education and training and everything along the way, and supporting the parent coaches that transform my family. And this is my passion, to see that every parent coach finds the parents and the parents find the parent coaches, because they make all the difference. And I feel like parent coaching is still a very new industry. I feel like, it's parent coaching has only been around maybe 20 years, and there's still a lot of education that has to happen around that. So that's another one of my missions, is to just spread the word that parent coaching is a thing. It's a valuable thing, and that you can find a parent coach in basically any area. And that really led me to focusing on helping parent coaches with their niche. Because I think in any business, if we go out and we say, I'm a parent coach, that's great. Parents still don't know what parent coaches are, and they don't know what it means to them. And so what we need to do in our niche is we need to really focus on specifically, who do you help and how do you help them? And if you're always going back to that in your messaging, and thank you, by the way, for asking about how I got started. I appreciate that. But it kind of brings us back to the messaging and how important it is that you're always talking about who you help, how you help them. And then the next step to that is really sorting out a plan. And so in my business coaching, that's what I help parent coaches with. I help them have a plan so that it becomes this easy flow of work. They know what they can teach, how they're going to teach it, when they'll teach it, once they have this plan in place. It just makes everything so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. Your story is beautiful. I like
Thank
it.
you. Well, I missed a lot of pieces in that. We just recently adopted our 15-year-old twin boys as well. Took 8.5 years. It's, yeah, beautiful kids. But I did miss a lot in between. Lots of things go on when we're raising kids, lots and lots of things, but it is really beautiful once you do get the right support. So
It really is.
I love that you connected with me, because we're still struggling with that etiquette thing. So we're going to have to talk. We're going to have to talk.
Definitely. I'd love to help you. Yes, I'd love to help you with that.
Okay, so let's swing back to then the biggest concern that you had was finding clients and them finding you. So we really just focused on your messaging today. We focused on you getting super clear on who your target audience is. You're going to do the research to find out what all of their external and internal challenges are, and then choosing one as the niche. What's the one big problem you solve? And now putting it everywhere. So it's a great time because you've got your website coming out. So making sure that messaging is super clear. I feel like etiquette would be so well relayed through a YouTube channel. And I don't know if you've thought about that, but YouTube videos on helping parents with their conscious parenting and their etiquette for their kids. I think you could really rock a YouTube channel if you haven't thought about it, but maybe you have one started. I should have asked that before.
Oh, no, I don't have one started. Funny, I have like one little video over there that's like when I just started the business, but no, I didn't. I have been trying to do most of it on Instagram for now. I plan to do the YouTube. It's in my second quarter of next year goal, maybe first quarter, but it's not because it's a lot to kind of sift through everything, so I want to like put everything in perspective. Then I'll have a lot of content by then that I'll be able to actually have like a dual use out of. If I do editing right on the videos, then I'll be able to use some of my videos that I'll do on YouTube, on Instagram, over on YouTube and so forth. So I'm trying to work through that piece, and maybe even adding like a team member to be able to help me with that, because it's a lot to do all on your own.
It is a lot to do. And you don't have to do it all at once. So I love that you have kind of a plan to roll it out at certain times. The other thing to remember, though, is that you don't have to recreate everything when you want to add a different platform. Now, I don't recommend a whole bunch of platforms at once, but you can repurpose the content that you have. It sounds like that's what you're going to do. So not to put the pressure on you anymore, but just know, hey, if I've got it already, you can repurpose it to a podcast, YouTube, not all at once. And I'm not even saying you should do all of those things, but that you probably have all the content already. And it's just a matter of putting it in a different format. But
You're absolutely right. And that was my plan, to repurpose and reuse, but you're right. I don't necessarily have to wait a long time. And I also have that software that I told you about, where the children can actually go in and learn etiquette on their own, like even without a lot of my engagement. Because it's almost looks like games, but they're playing, and at the end they actually learn all the tools or all the rules of etiquette, really, except like posture you'd have to do in person, or not in person, but like virtually like this. But those I can do as the additional videos. But there are a lot of pieces to the pie that I can actually start putting out there. I have demo videos, and I have videos that I do all the time. I typically go live every day. I took a week off. My mom had surgery, but I'm planning to go back to the everyday schedule. So within a very short period of time, I'll have a lot of content that we can repurpose.
that's wonderful.
So that's
And I can't wait to see what that is all about too. The games
thank you.
for the kids. I mean, kids love games, right?
Yeah.
You came to me to find out how to find clients, how they find you. We talked about your messaging, so you feel good about that. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And now being known as an expert. So what I'm going to do with this video, Peta, is I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel so others can find it. I'm
Okay.
also going to put it in we've got a free Facebook group for parent coaches. And I want anyone listening to this, if you want Peta to come into your group and talk about etiquette, can they reach out to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so when I
Absolutely.
put the video on, then I would love for you to put your Instagram for now, or your email, or a way that they can connect with you, so that you can become the expert for etiquette, even more so for conscious parenting and children's etiquette coach. Get into other communities. Not everyone is an expert in every field. And there's a lot of collaboration that can happen within parent coach communities. So if anyone wants, to focus on conscious parenting combined with children's etiquette, reach out to Peta, and then get known for what you do. Get even more well known. I mean, you already are well known for the children's etiquette, and so now just, combining that you work with parents.
Thank you, Jennifer. This was awesome. Thank you so much. A lot of work to do, but I have an aha moment, and thank
That's
you so
wonderful.
much.
That's wonderful. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be hard. Just focus on one thing at a time and focus on that messaging, and then put it everywhere. Right?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Peta. I'm so glad you reached out and that we did this call.
I am also. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.